all that we have today with technology, it just simply allows for more visibility and for more speed. And I think if we adopt that and we embrace it, that we can truly thrive.
Welcome to Direct Approach, a bi-weekly podcast hosted by Wayne Moorehead, filled with timely insights, fresh perspectives, and actionable takeaways from your direct selling executive peers to help fuel the growth and evolution of your business. What happens when direct selling's century-old roots in trust, authenticity, and personalization converge with today's social commerce landscape? And how can building an authentic brand become the foundation of distributor confidence and long-term customer retention? In this episode, Wayne sits down with Betty Perez, General Manager and Chief Marketing Officer of Riman, to explore the convergence of direct selling, influencer marketing, and social commerce. Discover the powerful distinction between welcoming versus targeting, and why staying true to our roots while embracing modern tools is the path to success. But before we begin, we'd like to thank this episode's sponsor, Exigo. Tired of struggling with outdated systems and inflated technical debt? Are you losing time and money on staff or software inefficiencies? Exigo can help. Our all-in-one platform as a service simplifies everything from commissions to reporting to e-commerce. With Exigo, you can finally focus on growing your business, not managing it. Don't let technical headaches hold you back. Visit exigo.com and discover how Exigo can transform your MLM company. Now let's welcome your host, Wayne Moorehead, and his guest, Betty Perez.
Hello and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. As always, I'm your host, Wayne Moorehead. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by an executive who has spent her entire career in direct selling and beauty, bringing a unique perspective as a distributor, founder of a successful company, and executive at some of the largest direct selling companies in the channel. I'm excited to welcome Betty Perez, General Manager and Chief Marketing Officer at Riman. Betty, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Wayne. It's awesome to be here. It's going to be fun.
Very fun. Yeah, for me, I've really been looking forward to this. And I know a lot of the listeners will be as well. Even though the company has been around for several years, it's relatively new here in the US. I think we're all still learning and kind of watching from the bleachers the success that you're having. So I'm excited to learn more about you and the incredible company that you're a part of. I want to talk about this time of transformation that we all feel that we're in here in direct selling. This is very dynamic, lots of changes happening, not just in direct selling, but across commerce in general. And commerce, as we all know, is becoming increasingly social. More and more of us are turning to peers, turning to family, turning to people to buy products, to be introduced to products. And because so few of us are now buying as directly from a company, this is what's really been driving this entire social economy. And looking back, this is a business model that we in direct selling pioneered more than 100 years ago. And so I'm curious how you see the history of direct selling shaping this future of this kind of more modern affiliate influencer social economy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we have so much to be proud of as an industry. I think we really gave way to what is influencer marketing today, affiliate marketing. And, I just see us as a part of the same category industry. It's not, there have been some conversations of the replacement of direct sales through influencer marketing, affiliate marketing. And really, I think I just see it more as a convergence of what is going on in social media and what we've been doing. And I think that really should be the outlook and the mindset, because truly what influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, what they've done is they've taken the roots of what network marketing, direct selling has established, which is to take a product and, cut out all of the retail channels and save money and therefore be able to offer a product at a better price. And also to serve the communities that were underserved because they might have been in more remote places. Really, when you look at the history of network marketing and how it all started, that's really where it thrived. It thrived in places where there weren't as many accessible big chain stores. And so here came these great products at a better price and allowed for a personalized experience, a personalized sales experience. And that was really the roots of it. It was built on trust. It was built on serving people. It was built on giving great products. And and really just authenticity. And so, I just look at what's going on in the world around us, and it's the same thing. It comes down to we're just using different platforms. Perhaps instead of knocking on doors like we did back in the day, now we're on social media and we're using Zoom and all the different things that are available to us. But what are we doing? We're telling a story. We are personalizing it as much as we can, and people ultimately buy because of the trust factor there, and that's what network marketing was. It was about buying from people, not from companies, buying on the trust that's been established. And it's the same thing here. So, I think that our history has simply just bridged the way and paved the path for where we're at today. And I think how we continue to thrive is to ensure that our roots adapt to just the modern technology that is available, but never lose sight of the roots, never lose sight of the principles of what allowed network marketing to even become an industry, which is, again, we share great products, we share them at a better price. They are really great products that bring awesome results. We create a personalized experience. And all that we have today with technology, it just simply allows for more visibility and for more speed. And I think if we adopt that and we embrace it, that we can truly thrive. I honestly, Wayne, don't think there is a better time for network marketing than right now, because today, what we do, in network marketing, in direct sales, it's normal. Back in the day when I was a distributor, in 2007 or whenever that was, it was, there was a bit of a stigma, and it was something that you constantly had to fight. And I think today, companies can do really well if you simply just embrace what's going on. You lean into that, and we know how to do this better than anybody else, because at the very end of the day, it's like the 10,000 hour rule that Malcolm Gladwell talks about. We've been doing this for so much longer than, Amazon has with their influencer platforms, right? We know what works. It's ingrained in us. We've just had so much time to do it. And so we just need to take advantage of this moment in time where we now have permission to be brand ambassadors, when before it was looked down perhaps a little bit, right? So now we have social permission. We've got these great tools. We've got social media. We've got all the things. I truly believe there is no better time to be a part of the industry, given that you really do have the right ingredients, and that comes down to having some really, really great products and an awesome ecosystem around it.
Yeah, I share your passion and belief that this is the best time for direct selling. I agree. There's incredible tailwinds that, while many different sales channels started at a different point and from a different perspective, we all do seem to be converging around that key insight that direct selling had more than 100 years ago, that people ultimately buy from people. And so I think that it is our opportunity to shine, to command the space that we occupy. And along those lines, what do you feel that we need to do to maintain that leadership position and stand out from, some of these other, affiliate or influencer or similar social selling models?
Great question. I think that when you look at the evolution of network marketing, there's been so many stages to our industry, such as with every industry, because times change, our social ecosystems change. And I think, what's happened with the digital age that we're in, and I would say now the intelligence age that we're in, transparency, authenticity is not, it's in high demand. And I don't even think that's well said. It's what's expected now. The consumer has the ability to look up anything and everything, using ChatGPT, the internet, whatever they want to know, it is at their fingertips. And ultimately, I think what people want is, they don't want to be marketed to, they want to feel understood. It's what we all want. Whether it's in retail or whether it's in life, we all just want to feel like we're understood. And so, I think that what is going to allow us to retain a leadership position is ultimately relating to our customer, making them feel understood, and not prioritizing any type of hype. I think that is something of the past. People, I don't think resonate with that. I think that has been an approach that we have been stigmatized for, where it has been hypey and it's been, things have been over exaggerated. And really all people want today is they just want to know, what does your product do? Show me the results, show me the testimonials. I think meeting people where they're at, right? Everybody wants something different from a product or from the opportunity. And I think allowing people to simply, first and foremost, get what they want from the opportunity, come and get the product that they heard about, and just meeting them where they're at and allowing your product and your opportunity then to, to engage them more if that's what they want. So I do think that, today it's simply just about being authentic, being real, meeting people where they're at, not overhyping anything, and really just focus on that customer experience, focus on that distributor experience, and just letting people make the most of the opportunity and products as they want.
I want to circle back. I love what you said about meeting people where they're at. I think looking back historically, there's often times where, we just had kind of one message and it was just focused on, ultimately here's this great product, but ultimately we want to sign them up as a distributor. But people have different needs. Consumers have different drivers. They want to approach business in their own unique way. And so I think that's really important to really meet them where they're at. And I love that you also touched on that level of kind of relatability and authenticity that we can bring to this process, to the journey, whether they want to be a customer or a distributor. I'm curious, as you look at these different income opportunities, whether it is the affiliate, the influencer, the gig economy, as you compare it to direct selling, what do you feel our main value proposition is that we can bring and deliver that no one else can?
I think there's two things. I think that network marketing, if we're comparing, network marketing to gig economy, all the things that you just mentioned, those opportunities, and by the way, they're awesome. Like, I am a huge advocate for all of these channels and pathways, because it's about meeting people where they're at, right? But it's very transactional. It is, I give somebody a ride on Uber and I make some money. I deliver somebody's groceries and I make some money. It's very transactional. And again, some people, that's what they're looking for. I think one of the things that is just so incredible about network marketing, it's so powerful, is the fact that it's not just transactional, it's residual, should you want it to be, right? And I think the fact that there's just even that ability, that's a possibility, like how awesome is that? Now it's going to take work, right? It's going to take commitment. It's going to take effort. But, for me, I just want to know what's possible. And the fact that that is possible, I think that is a huge value prop that we have. And that's something that I think needs to be emphasized. Now, the second thing that I think differentiates us, and that is our advantage over some of these other channels, is the fact that we have an ecosystem. We have systems, we have trainings. Again, we've been doing this for so long, right? Over a century. Like, we know what distributors need in order to succeed. Now, it's up to them, right? If they want to take the steps and go through the pipeline. But I think that's so important. I think it's Malcolm Gladwell, Seth Godin, I forget, one of those two. I love them both. They talk about how baseball is really one of the most thriving sports in America, as opposed to, other sports. Football has taken a toll, and other things. I want to say it's Gladwell. He talks about how baseball has just done such an incredible job at creating a pipeline, having an infrastructure that a kid could start, in T-ball and then go through the different progressions. And ultimately you just have the more ability there is to enter the infrastructure, to be a part of that pipeline, you're going to have more success. You're going to have more engagement. You're going to have more involvement. And that's one of the things network marketing has done really, really well, is because we've been doing this for so long, we have these systems where somebody can get started. They can plug into our ecosystem. They can plug into the system. and take the steps in order to be successful, and again, everything is based on their own effort, but at least the roadmap is there. And with some of these other channels, they're newer to this entire concept. And so it's more just like, hey, here's a product, here's the storefront, have at it, right? And it's fine. It works for so many. But again, it's more transactional based, it's more residual based. Here you've got a group of people, a community of people that are going to help you every single step of the way. That is our business, is to help you. So I think those are two things that we really bring to the space. To anybody who is, paying any attention to us. That's a huge value prop, I think, that we have over other different platforms.
I agree. I love those two. And I love that you talked about the kind of the transactional aspect, the one and done, which really is analogous to brand marketing in a lot of ways, where it is emotional, it is relational. And I know we're going to get into that in a few minutes here. But in continuing with the kind of affiliate influencer discussion, there was a big push over the last 2 years in direct selling, maybe the last 3, to really target these selling types, these communities, and try to bring them into direct selling with some of the value props that you mentioned, that residual aspect, that their income doesn't have to be one and done. And I think few companies would all agree, few companies have really been able to find a lot of success in going after those specific audiences and converting them to a direct selling model. So I'm curious, as you look at it, should we be trying to appeal to, let's say, existing influencers and affiliates and convert them into direct selling, or at least have that be one of their tools in the toolbox? Or should we be more focused on targeting an entirely different audience that maybe hasn't selected a path yet and is looking for that income opportunity?
Wayne, I go back to the basics. So let me answer the question directly, and then I'll explain. I don't necessarily believe in targeting influencers or, just these individuals with like huge platforms, but we welcome them. We absolutely welcome them. We welcome them. We welcome, my sister who's a stay-at-home mom, who has maybe 500 followers, right? We welcome everybody. And the reason why I say that, I don't necessarily think it's about targeting them, but it is welcoming them. And by welcoming, by the way, I think with anything, anytime you welcome somebody, you try to set up an environment that is welcoming, and they need tools to feel welcomed, right? So creating tools for people that are influencers that do have a huge following, I think that's important. That's a great effort, and it's a great use of our resources as a corporate team. And again, that's being welcoming, right? But it's not, in my opinion, about targeting those individual groups of people. It's really just about going back to the very basics, really focusing on having not just a great product, but a great brand. And I think there's a huge difference between having good products and having a good brand. Focusing on having a great brand. And if you have a great brand, then that is going to attract people to using your products, continue using your products, and therefore sharing these products. And then what happens with that, Wayne, in my opinion, is you are going to attract all types of people. You're going to attract people that have a huge following, and you're going to have to attract people that don't necessarily have a huge following online. But at the very end of the day, network marketing, thrived. It became an industry at a time in which there weren't, the influencers as we know them today. It was simply about having great products, serving people, giving them a great opportunity. And if those real principles are there, you're going to attract a lot of people, right? And so now, if one of them happens to be an influencer, you're going to have a huge spotlight on you, and that's amazing. But I just don't think that it's about targeting one specific group of people. It's really just about welcoming all people. And in that, there is strategy. How do we welcome, the individual that doesn't like to go online, doesn't like to make reels? How do we we call them K-pops here, which I think is really cool. It's really cute. We're K-beauty and, pop-up shops, and we put a K in front of it for K-beauty. So, we create tools that welcome those individuals that don't feel comfortable going online. And then we create tools for people that love being online. Like in our company at Riman, we have, we have groups that they are huge influencers, and we create media kits for them when we have campaigns, things that are easily shareable for them to post on stories and all the things, right? And we're investing into technologies that will allow for simple shopping interfaces. So, I think it's really just about understanding who your audience is, and then your communities are, building tools for them to welcome them. But, I don't necessarily think that going after, one specific audience is necessarily the primary approach, but it's definitely a part of the strategy, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And I think that idea of welcoming versus targeting is really powerful. I think you can double click on that. And there's so much to what you just said. It's not just lexicon or using specific verbiage, but there's really a lot behind what you just said. And I actually want to go kind of ponder on that. I may steal that if that's okay. I may steal that and start using that going forward. But yeah, it informs a completely different approach. And I love the idea of welcoming, and it fits much better in our direct selling belief system for sure. You mentioned brand. I'm dying to get there as a brand geek myself, but I want to help the audience and myself know a little bit more about Riman. It's relatively new in the US, launched, I think, in 2023.
Correct.
And
2020.
yeah, so having just been in the market for a few years, all of us are still getting to know the company. But it has such an incredible story, such incredible growth in its home market. Can you share a little bit more about the origin story and the rise of K-Beauty?
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh. And Wayne, you're going to have to reel me back on time here, because it is a story that I get so passionate about, because it's so cool. It's such a cool story what Riman's been able to do. So as you said, the company started in 2018. It hails out of South Korea. It's a K-beauty company. It's even though it was established in 2018, I like to say that the story really started, or the idea of Riman started over 2 decades ago. The owner, Mr. On, he tells this really neat story. I don't think he meant to tell it. We were just having coffee, and he told the story, and I was like, you got to say that, because it's incredible. One night he came home after work, and he was trying to tuck his 3-year-old daughter into bed, and he missed it. He was working late, but he was in the doorway looking at his 3-year-old daughter in her crib, and the moonlight just caught her face, and her glowing cheeks were just radiating with life and light and promise and all the things that youth represent. And he just got lost in the thought, how as we age, we lose that glow, we lose that radiance. And our tagline is experience a difference you'll love, because we believe that when somebody casts dollars behind a product, whether they're conscious of it or not, sometimes it's subconscious, Wayne, but you're probably looking for something different. Otherwise, you'd use what you have at home. If you have a cream, if you have a serum, especially in skincare, when something works really, really well, you're not going to change it. So if you dare buy a product, okay, you cast some dollars behind a product, you're probably looking for some type of difference, and sometimes you're not even fully aware of what that is. And so our litmus test, really every product that we make, it goes through this test. Number one, did you experience a difference? Okay. Yes, no, pretty simple. Did you experience a difference? And if it's a yes, is it a difference that you loved? Because at the very end of the day, Wayne, different is scary. Nobody likes different. We are, as humans, creatures of habit. We like, we like consistency. And so nobody likes different unless it's, a difference that was good. And so that's our tagline: experience a difference you'll love. And from 2018 to 2022, Riman just absolutely did extremely well, to the tune of over $2 billion in just South Korea, which is the size of Arizona. Okay. And here's the other thing, Wayne. They did it in skincare. Now, Korea is the mecca of skincare. It's like saying, if you're gonna have one of the best Korean skincare products, K-beauty products in Korea, it's like saying, I've got one of the best coffees in Colombia. I have one of the best shoes in Italy, And so in 2022, Riman had the most highest selling cream in all of South Korea, not just in direct selling of South Korea, in all of South Korea. It just became the product that everybody wanted within those 4 years in this one country. And so in 2023, after Riman had been very established in South Korea, they decided, hey, let's go global. And US was the very first country that they decided to start with. And they wanted to show commitment to the United States so much that we bought a building within our very first 7 months of being in the US. We're here in Irvine, California. We have an over 33,000 square foot building. Just wanted to make a statement. Like, we're here and we're going to build this.
Are you ready to revolutionize the way your direct selling company accesses industry insights? Introducing the DSN Library's Smart Search, an AI-powered tool that puts over 2,000 curated assets at your fingertips. From compensation trends to emerging markets, answers are just a click away. If you're already a DSN supporter, then you have access to Smart Search right now. If not, it's time to check out our updated program. Starting at just $1,000 per month, your entire company can get access to the channel's most comprehensive collection of education and insights available. Visit directsellingnews.com/supporter to see a demo of Smart Search in action and to learn how your company can become a supporter now. We also invite you to join us at the DSN Marketing Deep Dive event, February 25th, 2026 in Lehi, Utah, where we'll address the marketing realities facing direct selling companies today. This event brings together candid executive perspectives, practical education, and real-world case studies from leaders who are navigating the same complex marketing landscape you face every day. Visit dsnevents.com today for details.
As you mentioned, coming into the US market in 2023, there's been a ton of success. What have been some of the advantages of coming in as a company that was founded in an international market coming into the US, and what have been some of the challenges as well?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the advantages, I would say that K-beauty is something, as I was mentioning earlier, that a lot of people have interest in, a lot. And the fact that we are an authentic K-beauty company is huge. All of our products, like I was mentioning, are they're not just made in South Korea, but our ingredients are sourced in South Korea. We are a very authentic K-beauty brand. And I think that K-beauty really allows for a very personalized experience. I think that's something that the American market is very keen on right now. We want personalized everything. There's personalized nutrition. There's personalized, ads on your Instagram, right? We want to be spoken to. We want to be understood. And so I do think also K-beauty itself just allows for a very personalized, customized experience. I think that's been very, very helpful. I give a lot of credit to our owner. He's a great business person. He's been very strategic in the sense that he understands that Riman had success in South Korea, massive success, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have massive success in other countries unless we allow for localization. And so he has been very open to all ideas that we share and the things that we want to do, the strategies, and allows us, the corporate team, to truly guide and set the way for the American and North American market. It's been incredibly welcoming. There's been a lot of great things that we've had going for us, but I would say it all hinges on the fact that we have a great brand. At the very end of the day, whether you're South Korean or you're Mexican or you're American or anywhere, you just want things that are real. That's something that you see, you feel it. And we just have some really incredible products that provide incredible results. And so there's that. As far as challenges, like I would say this is true for all new companies, right? I co-founded a company when I was 19, and we went through our own set of challenges, which, just comes down to, scaling. Riman has had some very incredible growth since we've started in almost 3 years, 2.5, a little bit over 2.5 years. It came in waves that were a bit unprecedented. And so I think like any company right now, we truly are trying to ensure that our technology is up to par, not necessarily with indirect sales, but truly with the world, right? We've got some incredible technology in the world today with Amazon and ChatGPT and all the things that puts a lot of pressure on, every other company to make sure that we can provide a consumer experience in an ecosystem that is comparable, because at the very end of the day, that's what people want. That's what they expect. And so, I would say those are the challenges that we too have faced and that we've embraced. And we really are planning for the future and have invested a lot into into technology and into the next 2 to 3 years, and really what our ecosystem looks like, our architecture. But I would say that's been our challenges. Nothing necessarily related to, starting abroad and coming here. And the only reason why I don't think that's been a challenge for us, again, is to credit the owner. He's been very strategic in allowing for localized corporate teams to truly, show the way. And he has made some great hires in all of the countries that we're in.
So you've touched on brand a few times, and I've been anxiously wanting to jump into this part of the conversation. I come from a brand and marketing background, brand geek, a fellow brand geek as well. And kind of one of my soapboxes for so many years was the importance of brand, having worked in the D2C world and CPG world as well. And for many years, it seemed like that direct selling didn't give brand, using that term in quotes, it wasn't given the importance that it really deserves. It wasn't considered as an important driver that somehow in direct selling we were different or immune from the impact and implications of brand equity. But in today's socially driven world, as we've discussed, that's no longer the case. And I know you personally throughout your career have placed such a strong emphasis on brand, whether it's across all touch points from packaging, even to the product formulation, to the vessels and materials that the bottles and packaging is made of. Why do you believe that brand strength is so critical today, not just for attracting consumers or affiliates or influencers, but also for the long-term success of our distributors and companies as a whole?
One of the first things that, comes to mind is, let's talk about a distributor. A distributor, we have to think of a distributor as somebody who, yes, sometimes they do come with experience, but majority of the times, if you are really going to be, spread a wide net and you are going to grow, you are going to have individuals that have never done network marketing. They've never been in direct selling. A matter of fact, sales scares them. I was one of those individuals. Like I would never have thought that I would, necessarily be in something where I was selling a product. And so knowing that, okay, Wayne, I think the stronger the brand is, okay, the more confident a distributor is going to be. And when they are confident, that is going to allow them, it's going to enable them, it's going to compel them truly to go talk about this product to their friend, their family. And that's really, that's what our business is, sharing these products. Part of having a great brand is also being adequately priced. And one of the things that, I have found as I study the industry, and I love this industry. I'm an advocate for this industry. The industry raised me in essence. But it's always good to do some self-reflection on the things that we as an industry can do better, the things we've done well, but there are many opportunities for growth. And I think one of them has been pricing. There are some products that can be more expensive when you're comparing apples to apples, in wellness, if you're comparing protein to protein, grams per gram, right? That can be more expensive in the space. And that is not sustainable. And that affects the image of the brand. It could be a good product, but it could feel overpriced. And all of those things play a role. And so when the brand is really considered holistically from formula to packaging to pricing, okay, that allows a distributor to feel confident. I can go share this cream with my sister for $30, and the results are going to be so great that she would have spent 60, but it's only $30. And then the other thing I'd say is, going back to what direct selling was even built on, it was, we just go back to the basics. It was not necessarily, it wasn't created to create an income opportunity. It became that. And thank God, because that's awesome. It's really, really great. But that's not how it started. How it started was, we've got some great products. We have them at a better price because we cut out the retail channels and we serve people, right? And so going back to the essence of that, creating a great brand will allow for a second, third, fourth, fifth sale. And I always say this, I do not give any company, including Riman, okay, as great as I think we are, okay, I do not give us any credit for that first sale. I don't. I've been a distributor. I know that when I tell my sister, please buy this phone system from me, she bought it without thinking. She didn't want to, but she did it, whether it was good or not. She bought it because she wanted to help me, right? And so the same thing happens here. That first sale is on the trust of our distributors. Okay, they'll do it to help somebody out. Now, Wayne, if somebody buys a second time, a third time, that is where I give us credit, because you see, if it worked when they really weren't expecting it to work, it's not that they weren't expecting it to work. They just had zero expectations. They were just helping out a friend or family. But when they see results and they see a brand that they appreciate, a price point that they appreciate, and they experienced a difference that they loved, then they're going to come back and buy a second time. And that is on the merit of the product and the brand and all the things that, we've been talking about. So I just think that is really the key, because companies can have success. We've seen it. We've seen, sales, sales is not necessarily a hard thing to manufacture if you've got some really great salespeople, but to keep that is where you truly do. Everything has to be real. Everything has to have substance. Everything has to have pillars that it can stand on. And the brand is a part of that. That is where we are no different than the brands you're going to find in Sephora or in any, Amazon or wherever people shop, right? We are no different. We are held to the same accountability. Customers expect the same thing. And so if we can keep that customer satisfied, then we are going to keep our distributors' income continue. And that is really the key. So I just look at it like, what are the building blocks of anything, right? And can we just make sure that is intact, that is pure, that is authentic, that is real? And, and brand is obviously a huge aspect of that.
Yeah, you've been an incredible champion for the importance and impact of brand in the channel. And I think we might have to schedule a follow-up to really dig deep on any one of the things you just said. I know we could double click on, for another hour or so. But I love that you talked about what an important driver, and that it has implications not just for something looking good, but it serves strategic purposes such as reinforcing the positioning, reinforcing price point, communicating our values, developing deeper connections, improving affinity and retention. And you're right, we're not on shelf next to these companies really in store anymore, but we are next to them in feed, in our social feed. So all consumers are comparing our brands now, regardless of channel, to any of the products that are out there. And I'm glad that you're here being a great champion for the importance of brand in the channel. And I'm glad that the channel as a whole, we're understanding much more. We're getting more clear on the importance of brand and the driver that it is. I want to shift into a little bit on kind of maybe looking back, some of the lessons that you've learned throughout your incredible career, and your time in these leadership and founder roles. You've always been known as someone that really leads with empathy. And you're someone that leads from the heart, but also from the mind. And I'm curious how you balance being both analytical and people first in your leadership style.
Yeah, it's I give credit to just my background. It's having been a distributor is so incredibly important to me. I wouldn't have had it any other way. because it just really allows me to just remember what it's like to pay my bills with commissions, what it's like to talk to friends and family. It's a hard job,
Sure.
it's a hard job. And so I so appreciate what our distributors do. And so that has been super helpful. It's hard not to empathize, when I go to events, I love it. I just love hearing the stories. And it just reminds me of how everything we do has to translate back to our distributor. Truly, we have to create sales tools and marketing that allows them to feel confident, that allows them to feel proud. One of the nice things about social media today is, and this is true always, but I personally, Wayne, I love to learn. I'm an avid learner. I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always listening to a book. My friends and family are always annoyed with me because I've got like the fun fact of the day. I love it, but at the end of the day, we all have limited time. And so, most people, when they get started, they're not looking for this to be full time. They don't have a ton of time to educate themselves on all things K-beauty and, all the steps. And so making tools that allow them to share. And again, the brand has to make them feel confident because nobody wants to be a part of something that doesn't add value to their name, that doesn't align with their name, with their reputation. And so if they feel confident in it, then they're going to share it. And so it's just, I try to always remember that. And so, it's just the empathy comes from that. It just comes from conversations, from having been a distributor and having conversations in the field. I think that's really important for all corporate executives, by the way. Making time to talk to our field is one of the best things that we can do on a weekly basis. Because it's not even just hearing what the challenges might be or what's gone really well, but it's just hearing their day-to-day experience. Like, it's hard not to have empathy when you really truly are listening. So that's one. Now on the more operational, being mindful of, resources and costs and all the things, balancing all of that. I always remember, and I keep this front and center, and I talk to my leaders, with this information. I think that's the other thing. We have to remember that our distributors, like, they are intelligent. Like, they can understand so much if you speak to them with authenticity and with truth. And so, with our leadership, whenever we have things that could be more challenging, whenever issues have come to the surface, I think just being honest with them with like what is going on. And when you have that type of conversation, it involves them into the challenge, and it enables them to be a part of the solution. And at the very end of the day, what we all remember, or have to remember as corporate or field, we need the company to be healthy. Because if the company isn't healthy, then nobody's healthy, right? And so sometimes we have to make decisions that are not necessarily the popular decisions, that, yes, a distributor who may not know the whole picture would opt for. But when you are transparent, when you are authentic, and you do tell people, you involve them into the situation, and it makes sense, like, these things do make sense. They are logical. They understand, and everybody wants to protect the company. We all want to make sure that longevity is, is at the forefront of what we do. And so, I think that's how I've balanced it, is just having these transparent conversations, and reminding them and myself, right? Whenever I do want to do something a little bit perhaps that takes more resources, or allocate higher budgets, always come back to, if we care about the distributor, we care about the company has to be healthy, because if the company's healthy, everybody's healthier. So I think that's some of the ways that I've managed that.
Yeah, I think it's powerful that you emphasize the importance of listening to our distributors and customers. And I think, again, for those of us that were never in the shoes of a distributor or brand partner, we need to make extra effort to do that, to listen to the brand partners and distributors. And I think we sometimes believe that it needs to be a super formal process. Setting up a field advisory board, or setting up focus groups at some of our events. But I know I've said this before, but I think one of the easiest ways, And the quickest ways for executives to stay in touch with what's going on and hear that perspective is just take a lunch, once a month and go into customer service and distributor support and sit next to an agent and put on a set of headphones and just listen to what are the small things, what are the big things, what are their challenges, what are they loving about what's going on. And I think it's a way that we can really frequently get that perspective and remind ourselves of who it is that we're really serving. For executives and companies looking to grow in today's socially driven environment, which Riman has done such an incredible job of, what do you feel that direct selling companies, that all of us need to be doing more of or less of to succeed in today's environment?
Focusing on the ecosystem. I think that's something that is has been true, and I think will remain true. Focusing on the ecosystem that you've got for a distributor, that system, really ensuring that there are progression levels, that there is a pipeline of events, that there is all of the steps that somebody can take in order to educate themselves on the product, on the opportunity. Obviously, simplifying it as much as possible. People do have limited time. Again, I think coming from a mindset of this is part-time, and sometimes, most of the time, some of the time for some folks, and that's okay. And that also shouldn't be chastised by any means. Some people, they're here to have, a couple of customers, to pay for their products so they get their products for free. You've got groups of people that are here for the incentive trips. You've got some groups of people that want to make some great income, right? Wherever people are at, just letting them be. However, building a system, creating an ecosystem that allows for people to go the entirety of the path. I think that is something that it's incredibly important. And so understanding the different ways that people do build their business, whether it's offline or online, creating those marketing tools that will allow for somebody to go back to what we said earlier, to feel welcomed. I think that's something that's been true and it remains true. And I think that the challenge, really the opportunity for all of us right now, is to adapt the tools that we've created over decades to today's environment with social media and AI and all of the things, and really just try to blend into people's day to day. I think that's something that we also have to be really mindful of. And again, it's meeting people where they're at, is how do we become a normal part of somebody's day, and we're not asking them to do things that are uncomfortable or that can be seen weird or odd. It's just, finding ways to make sure that anything that we teach, that we ask people to do, is as normal as possible, as comfortable as possible. And I think that is something that can be done. We just have to be very aware and mindful of that.
Absolutely. So final question, as you look out across the direct selling landscape 5 years down the road, what are you most excited about to be part of the channel?
Yeah, I just think that we've reached a huge milestone. We have for a very long time tried to make network marketing, direct selling, quote unquote, normal. And here we are, here we are at a time in which brand ambassadors are welcomed. Everybody wants to be a brand ambassador. I forget what the statistic was, but they did a stat and they asked, I think, Gen Alpha, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And an overwhelming percentage of them said, I want to be an influencer, and I think for us to see ourselves as part of that, I think is incredibly beneficial. It's all about outlook. It's all about, your mindset. And so I just think that this is an incredible time for the industry. Now, a lot has happened to the industry over the past 5-6 years, I'd say since COVID, where, a lot of changes have happened. And some companies are no longer here, but it's just evolution. It's just adapting. And so now we're on to this next stage of network marketing. I wouldn't even say it's 2.0. I think it's already here. And so I just think that, we have more permission than ever to truly be a part of everybody's day-to-day. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about just all the technology that is available to us. I think if we simply stay true to our roots of, relationship building, serving people, helping people grow from a personal development standpoint, all of the principles that were true for network marketing when it started over the decades today, like that doesn't change. So now it's simply just taking what is going on in the world with social media and all the things, and that simply just allows for more visibility and more speed. So, I just think that there are, companies like Riman, of course, I'm super biased. I love our products. We just have such a great brand. We have such great products. We have such great intention. We simply want to share this with the world because we truly do believe that what we've got is something that is worth sharing. And just taking advantage of this moment in time and the tools, I think is really what we're excited for. And so, for anybody out there listening today, it's true for them too, and I want to see Wayne. I want to see more companies succeed. I cheer when, a company is doing well and they've got something great going on, because at the very end of the day, this industry is so powerful. It's changed my life, and I've seen how it's changed so many people's life. And I just think, that over the past couple of decades, there is somebody who said no to network marketing because there was a stigma and they don't want to be a part of it. And if they had only said yes, okay, their life could possibly look a little bit different, a little bit better in ways. And so I'm really excited about the fact that now I do think that more people will say yes if we just simply start, continue being authentic and transparent and bringing real products to the market, not overhyping anything, not necessarily marketing or targeting, but really seeking to understand people and meeting them where they're at. Then I just think that this is a really great time for the industry, and consequently, so many people that will be impacted through this incredible industry that is direct sales.
I think that is the perfect idea to end on today. Betty, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your insights, your experience. We wish you and the rest of the team there at Riman all the continued success. We, just like, as you mentioned, I love what you said, that we kind of root for one another, and we're all here cheering you on from the sidelines, and are excited to watch your continued success. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. And as I said, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Please take a moment to subscribe and give a 5-star rating and review to help Direct Approach continue to provide more candid insights and interviews for direct selling corporate executives. And don't forget to register for our upcoming spring events at dsnevents.com. Secure your spot now. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.